Hi, my name is Beth Booker and I'm the supervisor of Greene County Foster Care. I'm here today with Aaron Hauser, who is our director of Greene County CASA. CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates. Aaron has a group of volunteers who is appointed by the Greene County courts to be an advocate for the foster kids in Greene County. Aaron, I was hoping you could explain to us a little more of what your advocates do for our kids and how our foster parents can expect the advocates to play a role in their home.
Thanks for coming over today. Thank you for all of the work that CYS does for the kids, and the foster care program is really gaining steam, and that's a great thing for our county.
Thank you, appreciate it.
So CASA advocates are trained by me, and 30 hours of training, and then they have to continue their education every year with additional training. Once they are appointed by the Common Pleas Court, they are then assigned to specific children in specific cases. And these cases, based on the fact that we don't have a huge number of volunteers at this time, these cases are usually the worst of the worst. Those advocates are responsible for investigating the case, which includes gathering medical records, physical health records, records from the local schools that the kids are in. They're responsible for maintaining a relationship with the children and getting to know them, getting to know what they want, even if it's not ultimately what we recommend. We do need to know how the kids feel. And they're responsible for getting to know the foster families that the kids are involved with. Kids change placements a lot, sadly, you know that. But when you find the right fit, everything starts to click. And that doesn't mean the kids are going to stay there for the rest of their lives, but it becomes a safe place that the children can relax and learn who they are and try to figure out who they're going to be.
So Aaron, you mentioned that the advocates will go into the foster homes to meet with the kids and build a relationship and also to speak with the foster parents. How often can our foster parents approximately expect that the advocates will be coming into their home?
The advocates are tasked with a minimum of one monthly meeting with the kids, in-person meeting. Now, normally there are a lot of phone calls, and in the days of COVID, a lot of FaceTime calls and stuff like that, but we are still adamant that minimum of once a month of in-person meeting is incredibly important to build that relationship. The meetings usually consist of the CASA advocate sitting down with the foster family and the children first, and more of a roundtable discussion. How are things going? What's going on? New doctor's appointments? How is school? Anything that, any issues that need to be raised, any questions that need to be answered, that kind of thing. And then we ultimately will ask the foster parents to let us talk to the kids for a few minutes, and we start to build that one-on-one relationship, and it gives the kids a sense of freedom to be able to say what they want, especially once they understand that the CASAs are there to make recommendations for their best interests. So what the foster parents necessarily want doesn't figure into the equation. What the children necessarily want doesn't figure into the equation. But what is in the children's best interest? So once you start to have multiple conversations, you start to figure out that maybe we need to go in this direction with something, or this is spot on, and thank goodness that this child is finally getting the attention from the family and the attention from the professionals that they need in this particular area.
Okay. So Aaron, you mentioned that right now you don't have very many volunteers, so the cases that are being appointed really are really tough and trying cases that we have over at CYS. How many volunteers do you have right now?
About a dozen. For the size of Greene County and for the size of the caseload that CYS has, that is well above average per capita, ultimately 25 to 30 CASA advocates would give us the ability to be appointed to give or take 60 kids at one time. And I think that would really handle the majority of the cases that have the most need.
How many cases does each advocate typically get assigned to them?
Not necessarily cases, but kids. So, we don't like to overwhelm the advocates. Number one, the thinking is that the individual children would receive less attention, which is never what we're after. I would like to maintain one advocate having 2 to 3 children. Now, some of the families that we work with have 5, 6, and 7 children. So when those cases have arisen and CASA has been appointed to those cases, I put 2 advocates on the case, and they work together. Sometimes those children are placed together, if you're lucky, and sometimes those children have to be placed in separate foster homes. So by sharing the workload and me stepping in whenever an advocate can't make a meeting or whatever they need, that gives us the ability to provide the attention that the kids need while still, maintaining the numbers.
So I know you mentioned that the advocates go out and they visit with the children at least once a month. They do some phone calls, FaceTimes. They visit with the foster families and speak with them. And I know that they also do work with the biological parents as well. They pull medical records, school records, talk to counselors, everything like that. So culminating all of that work that they do, what is the rest of their responsibilities when it comes to paperwork and court?
So everything that you just mentioned, the advocates keep a running tally of everything that they've done. And we use a specific software called Optima that is nationally recognized as important for CASAs and the most effective software to use. They input everything that they find into that Optima software while also gathering paper copies of it. So what would happen then is a couple weeks before a scheduled review hearing of where the children are at and what we're going to do with the case, we're going to sit down with the advocate and we're going to have 250 pages of information. All the stuff that you mentioned, the medical records, the foster care records, the conversations that we've had with the biological parents. And we're going to condense that 200 pages into about a 10-page CASA report so that when we submit to the court and to CYS and to the attorneys involved, they have a better view of everything that we've collected. And if they have specific questions about some of the facts that we've put into the CASA report, they can ask us, and we have the originals to back up our recommendations.
And are your advocates given the opportunity to actually go to court and speak if they need to or wish to?
Yes, the advocates are always welcome at court. Now, sometimes half of my advocates have full-time jobs. So then it becomes I have to go to court and represent them, and that's what I do. The recommendations are the recommendations of the advocate, not of me, not of CASA. So I represent them in court if needed, but if they are available, it means a lot to the children and it means a lot to the court that a volunteer has taken time out of their schedule to show up for these kids.
So your volunteers, are there any special requirements that they have to have before coming to you to be an advocate?
As far as restrictions go, very limited. They have to be at least 21 years of age. They have to make a promise that they're going to be around for at least 2 years, because we know that that's about the max that a dependency case would last. They have to pass all of the necessary background checks so that they can have access and maintain a relationship with the children. And other than that, when you really boil it down, it turns out to be about a 10 to 12 hour a month commitment. So if you can find that time in your schedule and you meet those other criteria, you are absolutely more than welcome to become a CASA advocate.
What kind of personal attributes then are you looking for in a volunteer?
It basically is going to boil down to being a caring person who wants to make a difference in their community. And that's basically where we're at. We have business professionals, we have retirees, we have school teachers who are doing this after hours. There is no set mold that I can show you and say that that person's going to be a CASA. But it is an opportunity to give back to the community. There are times that people don't have the time to be a foster parent, or to, maybe they're dipping their toe in the idea of adoption and they want to get a view from inside the system rather than outside the system. And they decide, well, I'm going to be a CASA for a little bit and try to figure out what would be the best way to move forward with my idea.
Yeah, I think that's great, because I know there are a lot of people who have reached out to us as we've been working to make the county aware of the need of the foster kids in this county that aren't able, for whatever reasons, to take children into their home. Maybe it is because of their demanding work schedule, or they already have a house full of kids and just don't have the room, but they still have it in their heart that they want to help.
Right.
Where they may find that I can give 10 to 12 hours a month and truly make a difference in one of these kids' lives.
Right. The idea of a CASA is to be a constant in a specific child's life throughout this horrible process that they find themselves in. So, the caseworker may change, the judge may change, the attorneys may change, the foster placements may change. But the idea of CASA, which is one of the reasons that we require that promise that, hey, I'm going to stick around for 2 years. One of the reasons that that's so important is because that child knows when they come into court, or if they have a problem and need to pick up the phone, that it's going to be the same person they talked to last month and the month before.
So you mentioned it was about 30 hours of training
Yes.
they have to do. Is that something that you do in office with them? Do you wait till you have a group and hold a group training, or is that something you do as people come in to volunteer on an individual basis?
Right now we're trying to build a program where we would have 3 to 4 trainings per year, and it would be a group. Now we have the benefit, because we are a smaller operation, we have the benefit of a rather large office space, so we can social distance and we can do all the things that are necessary. But that group training provides the opportunity for conversation. It provides the opportunity for questions that person A thought of, and person B will sit there and go, oh, you know what, that is a really good question, and I'd like to know that before I get any further in this process. So the trainings are held in person. They are typically group oriented, and about 24 hours of that is held in the office, and about 6 hours of that 30-hour training is the homework to prepare for the next session.
If somebody is interested in learning more about becoming a CASA volunteer, Aaron, how can they go about that? How can they get a hold of you?
Best way to do it is to call me at the office, 724-802-7347. If they're just looking for some more information, or maybe to try to make up their mind, the CASA Facebook page is really active, and also we've just revamped our website, so it's www.greenecountycasa.org. Beth, the reason that I love this job, the reason that I love CASA, is because it truly does give the opportunity to regular, ordinary people to make a difference. And that's why I'm here. The only reason I'm here is to back them up. They are the all-stars. They work with the caseworkers, they work with the courts, they work with the foster families. They truly are the all-stars of this program. Without them, we wouldn't have a program. My job is to back them up, and that's the reason I love coming to work every day.
So Aaron, if somebody doesn't have the capability or the time to volunteer to be a CASA advocate, what are some other ways that they can help CASA out?
You can get involved in CASA in a lot of different ways. We are always looking for board members who want to further our mission. You could even join one of the committees that then make reports to the board about issues that are going on or events that we're going to have. You could participate in CASA events. In May, we're going to do a county-wide dodgeball tournament that I'm excited about.
We're working on our team already.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. And last but not least, certainly not least, is donate to the cause. If you believe in what these advocates are doing, donate to the cause so that we can provide as much support to the work that they do as we possibly can. We can build the program, we can grow the program, and we can make sure that as many kids that need our services are able to get a CASA.
And if somebody does want to make a monetary donation to CASA to ensure that this program can continue, once again, they can just contact you, correct?
Contact me, or it's right there on the homepage at greenecountycasa.org.
Great. And I just appreciate you taking the time to meet with me today. I want our foster parents or anybody who's interested in fostering or just anybody in the county to understand they have more than just CYS behind them and lifting them up. They have CASA, they have Tammy at Loved Again Charities who's ensuring that they have all their needs met. We work with different organizations throughout the county, and I want them to know that the foster parents too sometimes find a sense of relief and stability knowing that there's somebody else in there advocating for that child that they're caring for and loving. So I really appreciate you going deeper into exactly what CASA is so there's a better understanding.
I appreciate the invitation.